What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about Lucid. I want to go over some of the data points, what moved it, and go over everything else that you need to know, including some key levels to kind of watch for. Before we get into any of that, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So Lucid went down 8.19%, 1030 the high, 951 the low. So very close to a all-time low. So right now it is sitting at 950, and that was hit on January the 20th. So today came very close to that. Today's fear largely stemmed from Google as well as a lot of Fed uncertainty. So there's just a lot of things really happening in the broader market. So I know I've mentioned quite a few things that's been really influencing the market over the last several videos. All of that is starting to just get merged together and is kind of snowballing out of control. So a lot of people want to know, like, where is the end? When is things going to actually get better? Because Lucid, for instance, just from November up until right now, even end of November, or even kind of right here, it's down a significant amount, down 44.85%. And that's not even kind of zooming out for the most part. So it is rather unfortunate, just the timing of everything. But when it came down to even data points from today, we kind of had a lot of fear. So for instance, Challenger job cuts came in at 108, forecast of 43,000. So that, if you kind of read between the lines, it does signal that there is a slowing that is starting to occur. Initial jobless claims came in at 231, forecast at 214. Then Jolt numbers were supposed to come out on Tuesday, but because of the whole shutdown, it got kind of paused. But even that came in at 6.5, forecast of 7. None of that was good. The only positive is that it kind of increased the likelihood of a cut for March up a couple points, but still the market is very fearful over everything. So right now the market kind of didn't really care too much about this to inversely make it as a positive. But even in Lucid's case, there wasn't any news whatsoever. So last news did come out on January the 29th. There was this that did come out as well a couple days back. So I didn't do a Lucid video yesterday. Luckily enough, I actually had a lot of work meetings, so I kind of didn't really pay attention to the market yesterday as much as I normally would have. But this one just shows Eric Bach sold 273,000 shares. So most likely that kind of shows that the defamation lawsuit probably concluded, in my opinion. So probably there was a payout, most likely. The only other thing that kind of came out was a flyover, which in reality kind of signals, again, me reading between the lines, it does signal that Lucid did a very substantial push near the end of 2025 that rolled over into pretty much 2026, but it looks like this is kind of the leftover. So the aftermath, maybe there's a little bit of a lag in operations, but this didn't really signal as much as what we previously saw. So whether that's a good thing or bad thing, I'll leave that up to you to determine that. But I think even generally when it comes down to Lucid's upcoming earnings, their future guidance is going to be key. And as what we see, the market is absolutely relentless. Aside from all of that though, looking at shorts, I'll give you a quick overview of that. So I guess re-signing in for whatever reason. So pulling up Lucid, so shorts did ultimately increase about 12,000 shares. Nothing too significant in my opinion, but 34.3% of the free float is being shorted, works to be 44.7 million shares overall being shorted. Cost to borrow has dropped. I know there was a period when it was like 300+%. But since then it has dropped quite significantly, so sitting at 22.43. That's an annual rate, not a daily rate, so not too significant. But DTC being at 5.7 days does really signal that shorts are overextended. Aside from that though, looking at some of the options, 1.2 million in calls, 5.02 in puts, and 35% of all the options being done were bearish in nature. From a bull standpoint, you see a consensus for it to be above 1050 to 11. Bears are anticipating for it to be not really much going on for this week. For next week, for it to be sub 850. And realistically, looking at the fib levels with us right now at 953, it is trading between this S1 and this S2. So based on the bears, they are feeling this S3 is going to be hit. So 926 is going to be that element to watch for tomorrow. And based on Amazon's earnings, which it looks like they kind of did flop a little bit. So if I pull up Amazon right now, so Amazon's down 8.14%. So that'll make for a very fun Friday. Not so much in reality, but so this 926 most likely is going to be hit tomorrow. And if that does fail to hold, then you have 824 being the next strong kind of support, which again, kind of zooming out, is absolutely crazy. We're sitting at like 80 cents, or that would be 80 cents. Right now we're sitting at like 90 cents pre-split. So at the end of the day, Lucid really needs to hit a home run when it comes down to their earnings. Looking at the secondary market, you did have a lot of fear. And so you had one buy for 178,000. Everything else was a sell. Dark pool was a little bit more quiet. You did have one transaction right here for 100,000, which most likely was a hedge fund. Everything else was most likely attributed to shorts. So aside from all of that though, quickly popping back over here, if for whatever reason data points come out better than anticipated tomorrow and we kind of see a nice push higher, 989 and then 1091 is going to be the next strong target / resistance points. Aside from all of that, there really hasn't been that much in like updates for Lucid. I know there's a lot of big things kind of in the works, a lot of speculative things, but we kind of need confirmation ultimately. So it's going to come down to, like I said, their earnings based on the technicals. To be fully and brutally honest, there was a little bit of glimmer of hope. So Lucid was actually doing a little bit better than the broader market during this period right here. It kind of showed that it wanted to move higher, but unfortunately, once this 10-day moving average did break, then you're kind of just having another free fall. So it is fair to assume that tomorrow we're going to be seeing another or a brand new all-time low being hit for Lucid. But aside from that, there really isn't that much willing buyers. You can see that from the market position. Stochastic RSI is at 53, so it's at neutral, so not really overbought nor oversold. Reason why it's neutral is because of Lucid, this kind of price action tail end of January. There hasn't been any new analyst ratings, no real articles coming out about Lucid, just some from Yahoo saying Wolverine dumps 3.5 million, and a lot of that is just 13 Fs. I kind of stopped bringing those up in a lot of videos only because it's very outdated information. So for instance, we're in February. All of those 13 Fs are from Q4. So is it relevant that I bring up Wolverine selling 3.5 million shares sometime in Q4? Not so much, because back then, compared to now, night and day difference as far as macro issues and so forth. So if you want me to start bringing up 13Fs, I can definitely do so. Just I don't really see that big of a deal. I do have it up on a side note, but still I don't see any relevance in bringing this up. And plus, a lot of these are kind of smaller players. A lot of the big names are going to be over the next week and a half. But nonetheless, let me know your general thoughts on Lucid. Are you buying? Are you selling? What are you generally doing with Lucid? And when it comes down to the flyover, do you think I'm just being too kind of neutral on that? Do you think it's bullish, bearish? What's your kind of general thoughts? And what do you think the next big catalyst is for the broader market? One final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. Put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades. Worthwhile to pop over there and check that out. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.